welcome to Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Ekpo Temple. On the show today, Team Nigeria increases medal tally at African Games. Raducanu suffers early exits in Indian Wells, and in football, Chelsea beat Newcastle to boost European hope. Details of this and many more will be yours when we come back from this short time. Please don't go anywhere. This is Atlantic Television Network.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Alright, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Atlantic Television Network, and joining me live this morning to bring you all the electrifying stories from the sporting world is Emmanuel Michael. Michael, it's a beautiful Tuesday morning. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Temple, and good morning to our viewers out there.
Alright, let's get started. We'll start from the African Games that is ongoing in Ghana, and I can tell you for sure that Nigeria record more medals in male freestyle wrestling as wrestling continues to create more medals. Very clearly, on Sunday we saw hurdles, 6 medals won in wrestling, but yesterday we saw weightlifting also increase the medal tally Before now, we had 7 medals plus 3 medals won by Nigeria. It shows that we can, in fact, we are up the standing, and with that now, I'm sure that we can boast a lot. Clearly, with the way the African game is going, this is day 5, and your opinion on some of the happenings over there, especially Nigerian medal activities.
I think looking at the medals log so far, as at yesterday when it was officially released, Nigeria was seated 4th in the medals log, having Egypt topping the medals log out there, closely followed by Algeria and South Africa. Nigeria comes first in that order. But for me, I think the Nigerian team, especially the wrestling team, they've actually done the country proud, racking up about 6 gold medals in that department as well. And of course, I'm not forgetting the weightlifter also yesterday, where they also came to the party. Totally, they were able to garner or amass a total number of 9 gold medals, including other silverware, especially the weightlifting federation. So for me, I think Nigeria is on the map out there doing us proud. And of course, if you take a look at the history of the All-African game, Nigeria have also been the favorite, as well as they are the second most successful country when you talk about the All-African game, having amassed a total of 1,326 medals in all. So I think Nigeria is showing their strength out there. And the weightlifting and athletes, not forgetting wrestling, these are our areas of comparative advantage that certainly we are going to get a massive away from that point.
4 days of massive events in Ghana, and one begin to think that it looks like we're going to have stiff opposition from Egypt, Algeria. We're going to have stiff opposition from Kenya, but the Kenyans, we have not seen them anyway. But then Nigeria, Egypt have gotten a massive medal haul already. Yeah. The gold medal tally is, I mean, is something. It reminds me of
already.
It's already, and I'm wondering how far. It looks like they are competing in almost all the events, because I mean, after the 4, yeah, they have such medal hurdles. Obviously, it looks like the team that will coast home, this year's own, because I mean, it's difficult to really say you want to challenge them at this point, except something dramatic happens, in the coming days.
Yes, I think for me, the Egyptians, they are highly favored in this very one. After day 4 of the competition, as of yesterday, they were topping the medals log out there, having amassed about 36 gold medals, excluding silver, bronze, and other medals out there. So for me, I think the Egyptians have also continued to ride high. Even yesterday, when it has to do with the wrestling department, especially the female, the male counterpart of it, they were able to come top in all of the categories out there. They took home all the gold medals. Nigeria have to settle for the second place out there yesterday. So I think for me, the Egyptians, they've actually prepared for this one, and that is why they are competing on a very high level. They started it off with table tennis out there. They dominated the table tennis competition. They winning all the gold, almost all gold medals available in that regard. And of course, they have not slowed down that pace. They've continued to fire from all fronts. So I think they are likely favored to come first out of this very one.
Now, but if you look at I mean, it's not the end of the competition anyway, but if you look at the medal haul, you look at the competitive advantage we have, one begin to think that if we are good in wrestling, our male counterpart, like you talk about the male counterparts of, the male wrestlers of Egypt, yeah, we should be able to have wrestlers from the male category that are also good enough, as well as the female. And so I think that's the vacuum that needs to be filled by Daniel Igali and the Wrestling Federation.
Sure, I totally agree with you. So if wrestling is our comparative advantage, then we must make sure we dominate from all strata, whether male or female. Just like the female counterpart yesterday did us proud by racking up all the gold medals possibly available. What if our male counterpart has also followed in that regard? It means that we are going to, by now, we should be able to at least increase our standing on the log out there because of the gold medal that they were able to rack up there, but they couldn't live up to that expectation, to that hype of what the female counterpart did. So for me, I think that is the area where Daniel Igali need to work on. We need to also make a very strong statement in that regard, especially the male wrestlers out there. They need to live up to the billing, because we can't have a female doing us proud out there, doing everything possible to ensure that they put us on the map. When the male counterpart is called to duty, they just couldn't live up to that expectation of winning or racking up gold medals from that regard. So I think Daniel Igali need to work on that to ensure that whenever we are out, whether you talk about the male or the female counterpart, we must dominate all other countries, because that is our area of comparative advantage.
Of course, the All-African Games that started there years back is one that a lot of us are already expecting and hoping that we can see Nigeria do great things there. And like Daniel Igali said, I mean, you're not just winning medals, you also be rewarded. And that's what he said. Maybe a reward system from the president will also go a long way to also encourage others. For me, but do you think motivating them now that they're in camp is better off, or when they are done, so that we can start seeing more medals, from athletes?
For me, I think to whom much is given, much is also expected. If they were given this kind of incentive or reward even before they depart, that could even go further to boost their morale. But then, if we are talking about, the cut and care for wrestlers, I tell you, the Wrestling Federation has been one of the best team or the best federation here in the country when you talk about sport, because we haven't had the issue of positive or fun. Even when they were preparing for this All-African game, they had to camp for about 3 to 4 weeks, and we didn't hear any complaint about any of these wrestlers complaining. So I think their needs were properly taken care of. Preparation started in earnest, and they also come together as a unit preparing for this one. When they were about to jet out of the country down to Ghana, you saw the president, Daniel Igali, talking tough out there. Why? Because he knew that they had already prepared for this very one. So for me, I think even though I agree with you that the reward system needs to be inculcated, not just only in wrestling, but in other spheres of sporting activity here in the country. But then I think the Wrestling Federation have been able to live up to the billing of taking care of sportmen and women, especially when it has to do with the Wrestling Federation.
All right, was bringing you tidbits from the All-African Games, and yesterday Flying Eagles beat South Sudan at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. It took the Flying Eagles 80 minutes to break the back of stubborn South Sudan. Sadiq Ishaya scored from the spot to give the Ladamboso boys a lifeline in the tournament. You recall that we lost 2-1 to Uganda in the first match of the group, but a win for the boys yesterday brewed the confidence in them as they go up against Senegal this Friday. And Senegal looks like one of the best sides when it comes to the youth team now in Africa.
Yes, for me, I think it was a good performance from the Ladamboso's boys. Though they left it very late and they had to dig very deep in that very one. He had to take a penalty to be able to get that one-goal victory. What matters is the victory and not about the goals. We got all 3 points. In our first game, we lost our first game, and we'll be meeting even a more stiffer opponent in Senegal, who also won they won their first game and lost their second game. So we are both tied at pair. We'll be going for each other's jugular, because that is going to be a make or a mar game in the game against Senegal. So I think it's also good for the confidence of the boys out there, having gotten all 3 points, heading into the last game against Senegal, who is unarguably one of the best sides when you talk about African football right now. I think it's going to be a very massive cracker, and Ladamboso just need to go back, do some finishing work, because they had a lot of chances in that yesterday's game. If you actually watch the clip of that game, we had chances to have even gone up by 3 goals to nothing, but we were very, very profligate in front of goals, and coming up against a very strong Senegal. If we don't take our chances, we might pay for it dearly.
Very dearly, and that's what it means. So as we hope that we can get it right against Senegal, let's also prepare massively, because it will be harvest of gold. Talking about harvest of gold, it was harvest of gold at the Cape Coast Stadium as the Falconets of Nigeria took their opponents to the cleaner in the second group game of the ongoing 13th edition of the All-African Games in Ghana. Nigeria under 20 women team, the Falconers beat Senegal 4-0 to skate through to the semi-finals of the 13th African Games. This should be more like a booster for our male team as we prepare for Friday, because if we have defeated the female team of Senegal 4-0, then a win should be, the only negotiation we should have ahead of that particular one.
Yes, of course, but it will be very embarrassing and shocking for me that our male team will also be hoping for the female team to give them the needed, firepower at the courtesy of their good performance. No doubt, our female team, we are one of the best in the country. I mean, in the continent, rather. And don't forget, we are also the defending champions. So we needed that statement of intent to put fear, that fear factor in the heart of our next opponent out there that, yeah, Nigeria is here, and we are the giant of Africa, and we are showing that on the pitch of play, not just, off the pitch. So for me, I think it was a massive victory for the Falconers. Let's hope that they continue to ride high and possibly get to the final and lift the gold medal.
All right, in other areas now, let's talk athletics. In the ongoing All-African Games, the Athletics Federation yesterday officially released the final list of athletes to represent Nigeria at the 13th edition of the African Games. The list includes world 100-meter champion and record holder Tobilola Amosun, considered a Kanem, long jump prodigy Ese Brume, Ruth Osoro, and 46 others. This is massive, and you know, after this event comes last in some of these continental or global events, and it is the icing on the cake. And so, if you haven't done much, a lot of people hope that okay, they can use that already. So like Kenya, and the rest of them, to meet up. And but for me, I think that if we start very well, like Nigeria have started, now we have like 10+ medals, like other teams to Egypt. Egypt may not be very good in athletics. Yeah. So they have other areas of competitive advantage. Yeah. But for Nigeria, this looks like a good one. 46. What is the expectation ahead of this particular one?
The expectation is that the frontliners that is also guiding these 46 other athletes out there are our star boys and girls. These are poster boys and girls, the likes of Sebrume, Tobilola Amosun. We know, of course, their strength. We know what they bring to the table out there. So for me, I think it was a massive one. And looking at the name carefully, I discovered that we are presenting one of the best when you talk about athletes in the continent of Africa presently. So just like you say, Egypt, they have their own comparative advantage, which they've actually maximized that advantage to the best form they can, starting from the world of tennis out there, racking up the gold medals out there that is available in tennis. Then when it comes to athletics, this might not be their own area of comparative advantage, and for me, we also need to take advantage of this, because this is another area of strength for us, and we are presenting one of the best, squad so far, athletes. So for me, I'm very, very confident, keeping my fingers crossed that the likes of Sebrume, the likes of Tobilola Amosun, their inspirational form is going to propel the team entirely to ensure that every member of that athletic team certainly comes back with something very tangible. It's either gold or silver, but I would prefer for most of the athletes to go for the silver.
To go for the gold or silver?
I mean, to go for the gold, rather.
Because gold is what places you higher as compared to others. But certainly, 46 athletes are selected in 25 events, namely the 100, 200-meter relay, shot put, others. And the list also contains a total number of 12 officials led by the Federation President, Chief Tinobok Okowa, was signed by the Technical Director, Samuel Onikuku. All right, still bringing you some of the latest from other federations in Nigeria. This time is Taekwondo. We heard that Nigerian Taekwondo Federation yesterday, the contingent will depart Nigeria for Ghana for the African Games taking place in Ghana. The 18-man delegation led by the president of the federation, Al Abubakar Saidu Baba, will storm Accra, Ghana to keep the flag of Nigeria flying when the team begins their quest on the mat in the coming days. The team head coach, John Victor, shared the words with the president and believes that with all the effort they have put in, I don't think Nigeria can be assured of Taekwondo winning many gold medals. Do you agree with him on this particular one? Taekwondo used to be the flashes of Nigerian sports at some point, especially in the African Games, but how well can we go?
Well, how well we can go remain to be seen, but then I think I'm very, very hopeful looking at their preparation level as well out there. And of course, you know, Taekwondo will be making its debut appearance in the All-African game. And of course, the World Taekwondo body have also approved that one. So it is very, very official right now. I think for me, we would definitely do something positive because I had to listen to the coach carefully, even before now, how they have actually prepared, waiting for the approval so that Taekwondo should be part and parcel of the game. So I think I'm very, very hopeful. If we go, I remember when I went to Lagos, when I was still resident there, if you go to the Nikon Stadium, if you go to Surulere Stadium, there every Saturdays, Fridays, on Sundays, you see a large chunk of them coming out in their mass for training out there. You see professionals, you see skills and finesse out there being displayed to its highest peak out there. And of course, this is the time for we to maximize most of the talent that we have in that area by making sure we go out there and prove a point to not just Africa but to the world. Don't forget, it will also, you know, in future will be featured in the forthcoming Olympic far away in Paris. So if we do pretty well in this All-African game, then certainly we are going to pick one of the tickets, you know, that will help us get to, you know, to the Olympic. And of course, you know that some of these, you know, games here will be used as a makeshift for the Olympic qualifier out there. So it will be an advantage for us. But then how far we can go depend on the coach out there. And of course, listening to the voice of the coach, I think he's very, very confident because according to him, they've actually prepared very well, waiting for the official approval on this very one. If they have prepared as the coach have also asserted, then there is hope and confidence that we'll certainly go out there and make a point.
All right, away from the All-African Games now, let's bring you some tennis news. And of course, it is the first Masters Series of the season, and the Indian Wells is on course. And well, of course, we're getting to see some of the results already. But I can tell you that British number one, Cameron Norrie, suffered a third-round loss to Frenchman Guy Monfils after a tough 3-set at Indian Wells. This not a very good one for the man from the British.
Yeah, not a very good one for him though his form has been very, very questionable of recent, but then we thought maybe he's going to use this Indian Wheel to also build up his confidence and also continue to improve his game, but it wasn't to be, as his progress has been cut short for me. I think he just needs to go back and work on himself, maybe possibly bounce back very strong in the next competition.
Guy Monfils will now play Norwegian 9th seed Kasper Ruud, which of course promises to be very tricky. Can he get past him? Well, we'll keep our finger crossed. But in the female category, another British was beaten in straight set, Emma Raducanu, by Belarusian world number one, Aryna Sabalenka. The moment this was drawn in the third round, we knew that it would be an easy one for her.
Certainly, I knew that it was a going to be a stroll in the park for Aryna Sabalenka. And for me, Emma Raducanu, I think since that injury, he has been very, very inconsistent, coupled with the fact that he keeps sacking coaches every now and then. He has changed about 5 coaches in the last 5 years, and that is to tell you how inconsistent she is with you know, coaches out there. So I think for me, it was quite disappointing, but I knew it immediately was paired against the world number one out there. He definitely had no chance in that very one. But then I think this is what the games is all about. It's either you win or you lose. But if you lose, you take it in good faith, go back and work on yourself. It simply means that you are not good enough. That is what it means for Emma Raducanu.
You're not good enough, and that's what it means against world number 2, Aryna Sabalenka. With that, now we're going to a quick break. But when we come back, it's still Sports Talk. We'll bring you all the latest G's from football. Don't forget, more awaits you, and a lot. It's going to be a cracker when we come back from a short time out.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order,
Honorable
on the point of
on them. They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
so no agreement with the EU, but
telling him not to counterpunch.
All right, welcome back. It's still Sports Talk. If you're just joining us, and this is the Atlantic Television Network. Mike is still here in the studio, and of course, we're taking you through happenings in sports. We talk about the All African Games. We talk about what is happening in the Indian Wells, and it's time to talk football now. We'll start with what is happening around the national team. As top African-ranked team, Nigeria, we host reigning African champions, Bafana, of South Africa in the first leg of the Women's Olympic Football Tournament final qualifying fixture at the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Friday 5th. This implies that we need to do a whole lot because usually we play away from home in all the qualifiers down to this moment. So if we are playing away from home, we need to, if we are not playing at home, what it implies is we need to win well, so that the pressure don't get to us when we travel to South Africa, maybe Johannesburg or Pretoria.
Well, that is going to be a very difficult one because we know the South African side, how good they are as well. And of course, they want to also be in the Olympic. We know Nigeria, how we actually struggled and managed to scale through and pass over the Cameroonian girls out there. I think it was a quite difficult road for the Nigerian team. We went there in Cameroon, we were able to come back with a draw, came here, scored one goal and get the job done, dusted. Now to square up against a certain South Africa who has a very strong squad as well. Don't forget they also defeated their opponent 4-0. It tells you how strong and the strength of the South African team. And like I said, both teams will be hoping to make it to the Olympic. And I think for me, Nigeria will truly deserve to be in the Olympic because the last time we appeared dated back in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory can still serve me right. So I think we truly need to be there, but then we need to cross the hurdle of defeating the South African girls, which for me, I think is going to be a very difficult one. But then, looking at our pedigree, here when you talk about African football, female football. I think we have what it takes. We have the quality, we have the class to be able to outclass the South Africans. But then, like I said, in football, you can never, write off any team until the final whistle of, the game before we can truly say, yes, you've emerged victorious.
Now the intriguing factor or the disturbing fact about this game is the fact that we don't score too much goals, unlike the South Africans, and that for me is an area that Randy Wardrum, the coach of the side, needs to really work on if we must get something right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it just boils down to using the tactics of formation, deploying the techniques that works for you. There are some teams that are not good in scoring goals, but they are good in defending and they are good in counter-attacking. Example is Atletico Madrid. They don't score much goals. It's either 2-1 or 1-0, but then they get all 3 points. That has been their pattern ever since the day of Diego Simeone down till now. So Nigeria, when you talk about scoring of goal, that seems to be our problem. And it was very, very evident in the last World Cup, which we attended. We managed to win 1-0, 2-1, and all of that. We find it very difficult, but then defensively, we are very, very strong. So it doesn't matter the amount of goal that we get to score. What matters is after scoring 1 or 2 goals, can we hold on to it at the end of 90 minutes so that we can scale through? So for me, in as much as we need to improve on our goal scoring form in front of goals out there, but then there's need for us to also be very, very careful about our defensive setup out there, because if you actually score 5 goals, then you are not defensively strong and you allow your opponent to outscore you, it means that you are out of it. So scoring of goals is good, but getting all 3 points, even with a slim goal margin, is very, very vital. Like Sir Alex Ferguson will always tell you during his days that goal scoring is good, but winning with a single margin is better, because that wins you the title for me.
That wins you the title. And let's see how Randy Wardrum will package his girls come 6th of April. We're already counting down to that particular one to see how far this will go. But I can tell you for sure, it is not done and dusted. Yes, the African Cup of Nations might have come and gone, but then a lot of news is popping out from the Cameroonian Federation as they have suspended Wilfred Daola and 61 others for age fraud. I mean, 62 others players who are part of the squad for the African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire last month, and for me, it doesn't tell well at all. It looks like something is not going down well with the side.
Certainly, and the president of their football federation, FECAFOOT, they're talking about Samuel Eto'o, was not a very happy man during the just concluded African Cup of Nations. We saw him spitting fire at some point. He went to the dressing room to be able to pep talk some of these players and also tell them the need, what it is to be done on the national team jersey. They truly need to give out their best. Even liken himself to, saying that if it were possible for him to play 3 games in a day, for the Cameroonian side, he should have done that. But these days, he discovered that some players, they don't show much compassion, they don't show much dedication, much patriotism when it has to do with the national team any longer. So a lot was very, very wrong. Even after the African Cup of Nations, he wanted to, drop down, to resign, to throw in the towel, but then the authority said no, that he's going to stick there because they truly have confidence in him. And of course, this age padding African football is truly, truly affecting African football development, because if we continue to pad our ages, we can't actually play to the peak. We can't actually play up to 38, 39, 40. We see some European players, because of the fact that they stated their age very clear, we see them playing as long as 35, 36, like 37. Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Gigi Buffon, to name but a few, Pepe. These are players that have past their prime, but yet they are still very, very effective. Not just playing, but playing regular and effective football. Look at the likes of the Brazilian Thiago Silva for Chelsea. still very much a very old defender, but yet you can't compare him with the best of this younger generation out there. Whenever he marshal the defense, you will certainly see a difference in that in defense line. So for me, Africa need to be up and doing when it has to do with age. We must also document our age properly, because if you tender a false age out there, it will definitely affect your career. When you say that you are 20, when you are above 30, when you get to 30-something, which is supposed to be the twin line of your career, you will be nowhere to be found, because you have actually padded your age. And in reality, age does not tell lies. It will definitely affect your body out there. When you are above 40, 39, 50, definitely you can't do some of the things that you would do effectively and with ease when you are at your 25 or when you are 30. So I think for me, this is the right way to go. About 60 players, it tells you the wrath that is fine there, because we are talking about 60 professional players. If they have padded their age and we allow it to slide, what if they get to a point where the Cameroonian national team will need them the most?
Okay.
That is when you begin to hear that they have resigned. Injury every now and then, because it will definitely affect your body. You can't maneuver it. So for me, I think Africa, we need to step up, try to put our real age out there. It will go a long way to help us develop football here in Africa.
Well, I think that Samuel Eto'o is doing a lot of overhauling, a lot of cleansing of the side, because their last outing was a total embarrassment, you know, and it doesn't tell at all. This is the same team that nearly got to the finals of the last, you know, AFCON when they hosted, and it looks like something is just missing in that side. All right, let's move away from that. Former Spain under-21 star Brahim Diaz has chosen to represent Morocco at the senior level instead of his native nation, Spain. This is, for me, a lot would have gone down, you know, leaving Spain and representing Morocco. I'm sure a lot of talks, and these guys are beginning to understand that, come on, it doesn't matter where I play. If I have a nation like Morocco doing so well, can do so well at the World Cup. Maybe the World Cup expert would have also encouraged him to say that if they can go this far, then I can also represent Morocco.
Yes, of course. For me, I think Morocco is building a very strong team out there, and they are starting from the underage grade out there, building it up to the senior national team, and that is why we've seen a lot of improvement when it has to do with both the female and the male football team out there. Of course, Ibrahim Diaz is one good player as well, playing his trade for Real Madrid side. Very good left footer out there, good midfielder. He has the creative ability, he has an eye for the goals, he has flair. I think for me, he's a very complete midfielder, though he has also represented the Spanish team in the under-17, under-19 and under-21 team as well out there. But then he sees the need for him to change, you know, allegiance to his, you know, fatherland. Of course, you know that his father is a Moroccan, is a Moroccan, while the mother is from Spain.
But I'm just thinking beyond, something would have happened. Something would have happened, you know, for such player who is already playing the main team of Spain, like Real Madrid. You know, I mean, they should have done a whole lot to buy him in or to get him play for them. I haven't played all the in the junior cadre, so I'm thinking something motivating could have prompted him to say, let me go and play for my fatherland other than my native where my mom comes from.
Yeah, for me, he said after waiting for the national team call-up, it wasn't forthcoming, so he had no choice than to switch gear to his father's country out there. Of course, you know, the Spanish team, they have a lot of talent out there. So most time you don't just see a player that just pops up with a big name, shows some signs of greatness in him, and you expect the national team to call you up. No, it doesn't work that way.
But at least he's playing for Real Madrid. That's my concern, because when you are playing for Real Madrid and Barca looks like the main team in the La Liga Santander. So that should have given him a nod.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But like I said, if you have a good squad and you have just 11 players on the pitch, possibly the bench as well, just wrap it up, make about 22 or 23 man squad in any tournament out there. But the Spanish team, they are full of a whole lot of good midfielders as it stands right now. The likes of Gavi, the likes of Pedri, to name but I feel these are great midfielder, and for me, he might find it very difficult. Despite the fact that he's playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world, talking about Real Madrid, he just broke into the team this season as well. So he hasn't made that, consistency. He hasn't been very, very consistent to say. But for me, I think he's going to be a big loss for the Spanish national team, because I tell you, if you get to watch this guy, he's a very good player out there. But it add up to African fame and glory out there. What if he's that missing link that is going to help Morocco as one of the African countries to lift the World Cup? I think he's a good addition to Morocco and to Africa.
A good addition to Morocco and to Africa, Brahim Diaz there, and let's see how it goes in the coming days. But let's now talk at the English Premier League, where yesterday Chelsea, through a long goal scored by Modric, restored hopes of picking an European ticket, and this is going to be very tough for them. But the winning 3-2 yesterday at Stamford Bridge against Newcastle. What's the implication of this loss to Newcastle?
The implication is that they might find it very, very difficult to make it through Europe this season, because there's a whole lot of team that is very, very much available within that range of trying to pursue, European football. The likes of Aston Villa up there, the likes of Tottenham, Manchester United. These are teams that want to play in Europe, in Europe competition out there. So I think for me it's a big setback for Newcastle in their quest to ensure that they get to Europe. Don't forget, they qualified for the Champions League last season, and this season we expected them to do well, but then they lost their Champions League place to PSG because of some lapses out there, lack of concentration, which actually haunted them, because having defeated PSG at their home ground 4-1, one expected them to build on that confidence. They went away, got a draw against AC Milan, who is one of the traditional teams in European football. But when the hope was high, we thought that Newcastle is the new kid on the block that is coming to, shoulder the burden of English club to make a very strong statement in Europe. They just collapsed. So for me, I think it's a very, very big setback for them. But for Chelsea, it's a good one for them, because right now they are also pursuing European continent. Though seated in the 11th position right now, with just a point adrift of the team that is seated in the 10th position, but they have played lesser game. They've actually played 27 games. So if they play their next game and get to win it, then they will be in a pole position for Europe.
Pole position for Europe. And so talking about the English Premier League, Manchester United winger Jadon Sancho is set to turn down a return to the Red Devils if manager Erik ten Hag continues to manage the squad next season. And this looks like it doesn't matter the beef between the both sides, but then it doesn't look like Erik ten Hag will leave the club anytime soon. So if he's loaned to Dortmund, it's not better to stay there, because it doesn't look like Erik ten Hag will leave the side anytime soon.
Yeah, it's better for him to stay there, and that is the fear that Jadon Sancho is, raising right now. He need to raise this alarm so that even if they try to recall him back, though his parent club is Manchester United, he just went there on loan. He has no choice if Manchester United had to recall him back. But then I think the man talking about Jimmy Ratcliffe need to play a huge role in that very one if they truly want him back. And also not just back, because he might be back with the squad, but then because of the beef that he has with the coach might still decide to keep him on the bench. So Jimmy Ratcliffe need to talk to the coach and to be able to settle that fisticuff or that row between him and Jadon Sancho before he can come back. Without that, I think Sancho will be very, very happy and a pleased man to stay at Dortmund, where he has made his name. And as he went back there, he's getting the goals, he's getting the groove, very happy right now. Why must you leave your place of comfort to come to a place where you'll be ostracized, annihilated, humiliated, outside of the team? Some time ago, he was even excommunicated from, associating with the first team players out there. That is how bad the relationship between Jadon Sancho and Erik ten Hag, which some persons out there call Ten Hag. But for me, I think it's Ten Hag, not Ten Hag, according to them. But then, I think on a serious note, Jadon Sancho would love to stay at Dortmund and not to come back to Manchester United if Ten Hag is still holding sway as the team coach out there.
All right, meanwhile, Manchester City goalkeeper Edison Moraes is set to miss up to 4 weeks with a muscle injury. Would this affect the title chase for the citizens?
Sure, because it's you know, the goalkeeping department is a very sensitive department when it has to do with the game of football. That you don't need to, you know, be twerking or changing or rotating every now and then. It's a very sensitive and very delicate position, and it will certainly affect you know, them. But then they have a reliable hand that is also coming to take his place. If he does well, then that might possibly give him the opportunity to, you know, stake his claim as you know, City's #1. But then I feel for me, Manchester City, despite this you know, injury to Ederson, they still have the squad, you know, to also compete and also go for the league again.
Go for the league again, but let's see how far. My only challenge is that they're going to be playing against Arsenal soon. They're also going to play against Newcastle United, and so that looks like a very stiff position because Newcastle, Arsenal in the English Premier League, and then Newcastle in the FA Cup. I'm just thinking how they're going to, you know, swim across this water when you don't have your #1 choice goalkeeper.
We know that Pep Guardiola is one coach that truly can also, you know, create something out of nothing, because that is what he represents. He's a master tactician that truly know how to get the best out of players out there. There are some players that you least expect that they are going to fit in, but Pep Guardiola, with his tactical ingenuity, is able to galvanize the team and get the best out of the players. So for me, I think I'm not worried, because I know Pep Guardiola will certainly find a way to be able to replace him.
And then let's wrap up conversation here this morning as we move now to the biggest club football on planet Earth, and it is the UEFA Champions League tonight. It will be Arsenal playing the second leg of the round of 16 clash against FC Porto. They lost 1-0 in that encounter. Can they remedy, with the good form they've had so far in the English Premier League, can they replicate such form when they play at Emirates tonight against Porto?
Very possible. Looking at you know, what Arsenal has been doing of late in their matches out there in the EPL is very evident and very convincing. Their result where they play, get to enjoy their game, them banging the goals, they score 5-4, you know, 6 goals, and that is to tell you the potency of Arsenal squad out there. So I think Mikel Arteta has been able to, you know, rejuvenate this squad, you know, and they are firing from all cylinders right now. There are players that you likely expect them to come to the party in some of the major games out there, but then they just come and change the narrative of the game. In their last game against Brentford, it was heading for a draw, not until when Kai Havertz, you know, nodded in that late winner to ensure that they run home with all 3 points. So I think Arsenal will be very, very hungry to at least change the course of that first leg, where they actually fell 0-1 away to far away at Portugal to Porto, and they were unable to even register a single shot on target, and they went into that game coming at the back heel of winning 3 successive games, you know, 4-0, 5-1, 6-0. So people thought that it was going to be a goal feast, a rain of goal against Porto, but then Arsenal could not muster a single shot on target, and a Porto side that is filled with a whole lot of young and talented players as well, blended up with a lot of experience. Nicolas Pepe is also, Pepe, yeah, the Portuguese, is also in that defense line. So it's going to be a very difficult game for Arsenal, but looking at their recent form, I tell you, Arsenal would definitely want to go a step further, because the last time they made it to the quarterfinal of the Champions League is 2010, and that is how far Arsenal have gone when it has to do with the Champions League for about 10 years down the line right now. So I think they want to change the narrative tonight.
Let's see if they can change the narrative. Another team looking to also improve on their outing will be Barca, and the coach Xavi Hernandez has come out to express that it doesn't matter whether they have injury concerns. One thing very important is that there will be no excuse ahead of the clash with Napoli tonight.
Yeah, there will be no excuse, because excuse is a part of failure if you want to fail. But then, despite the injury worries, the likes of Gavi, the likes of Pedri, Ferran Torres, De Jong, these are first-team players that is out for Barcelona. And I think I want to commend Xavi for what he's done with the squad, despite the injury crisis rocking FC Barcelona. But yet, he's still competing for the league and also still very much in the Champions League. Let's see what happens tonight. But then, I wish that my heart goes for Napoli because of our brother Victor Osimhen, while my head will go for Barcelona to carry the night.
All right, later this evening when we come back, we'll have more time to dissect and also x-ray our preparations ahead of the UEFA Champions League tonight. Don't forgetting, I will also bring you some of the tidbits from the All African Games ongoing in Accra, Ghana. I did a show this morning with Emmanuel Michael. Ekpo Temple is my name. Do have a lovely Tuesday and enjoy the best here on Atlantic Television Network. Bye-bye.